Let's go to Canberra now and catch up with Labor frontbencher, former frontbencher, Joel Fitzgibbon, slid off to the backbench now. But Joel, you're a former Defence Minister. You must be worried about the way all of this is being discussed publicly by the Minister and the media. These are allegations. None of them have been properly tested in a court of law.
I'm very concerned, Chris, absolutely. And I'm particularly critical of the government's handling of this matter. I mean, the Prime Minister was pretty quick to go out and face the cameras on the occasion of the terrible China tweet. But he was completely missing in action the day poor old Angus Campbell was rolled out to tell the story. And of course, that big gap was allowed to form in between the government's receipt of the Brereton report and, of course, the announcement and later talk about people losing their medals. Look, there is no rush here, Chris. Sure, those individual awards given to people who have done wrong, or at least may at some point be found guilty of doing something wrong, then obviously they will lose their medals. They will pay a heavy price. But people who haven't been found or not proven to be done wrong, then they'll obviously keep their medals. The real grey areas are these grip citations in between unit citations, where you will have people who not even knew wrong was being done in their unit, let alone be involved in it. This is where it becomes very, very complex, and my appeal to everyone involved is to take a big, deep pause, think this through properly, have some discussions, and let's get some sort of bipartisan settlement on this thing. There is no hurry to be taking citations and medals of Australian heroes. No hurry whatsoever.
Now, I've got to ask you about climate policy. We've seen a lot of reporting in recent days where credible authorities look at what Australia's doing and saying that this country will meet its Paris emissions reductions targets by 2030 without even using the carryover credits. And we're hearing that the government will abandon plans to use those carryover credits. Now, that's a pretty good effort, and it's a lot better effort than most countries, certainly most developed countries in the world. That shows that Australia is actually leading the way, doing a good job, and surely there's no need for Labor to be promising more and deeper cuts.
And it certainly shows, Chris, that we shouldn't be approaching public policy this year or next year in the same way we approached it 10 years ago. Technology has played a huge role here. People are putting rooftop solar on their homes like we could not have believed. We've got our regional landscapes full now of large-scale solar and wind farms. Businesses, of course, have been striving for more efficient manufacturing processes, not just to reduce their carbon output, but because there is money in it. Our vehicles on our roads have pollution kit on them I never dreamed of before. And of course, Australians are also rushing to buy electric and hybrid vehicles. So people are no longer waiting for parliaments to act, Chris. We could be doing better. I think we should strive to do even better. But they're not waiting for the parliamentarians. Business and householders are moving on a daily basis. Those figures, of course, are better today in part because of COVID, and
sure,
we haven't been doing the things in the economy that we would usually be doing, indeed not driving our cars even as much as we usually would. But on any measure, we're doing okay, and we don't
need... So why is Wayne Swan, your federal president, why is the federal president of the Australian Labor Party, Wayne Swan, the former treasurer no less, still out there pushing for a carbon price, saying Labor should be bringing in a carbon price when it gets back into government?
Well, I think he's just wrong, Chris. That was a solid argument 10 years ago. And we had a carbon price legislated. Tony Abbott repealed that legislation, tore it up. I thought that was a mistake. I believe if Julia Gillard's architecture was still in place now, like the GST, people would not even know it was there. The economy would be about where it is now, and we'd all be getting on with our lives. But in that intervening period, we have made gains. Technology's begun to play a greater role and will play a greater role again into the future. And we should be backing these technologies, including initiatives like hydrogen, to make sure we accelerate our very significant progress. You know, since 1990, Chris, the carbon intensity of our economy has reduced 63%. Our per capita emissions has reduced 40%. Now, that's a long period of time. Again, I say we could even do better, but we are most likely to do better when we end the climate wars and we're all working from the same hymn sheet.
Good to talk to you again, Joel Fitzgibbon. Thanks for coming on throughout the year. We won't catch you again before the end of this year, so have a great Christmas and New Year.
A great pleasure, Chris.
Joel Fitzgibbon there, the former resources spokesperson for the Labor Party, now on the backbench, talking a lot of sense on climate issues.